Because of a scoop discovered by WDW Pro and some excellent sources, we now know that Lucasfilm is planning to do a Luke Skywalker movie. Is Kathleen Kennedy thwarted? Is Jon Favreau taking over the reins of Star Wars? Let's talk about a little bit of that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is my Padawan learner, Mr. Vash Sky. Or are you actually the master? Vash, which is it?
That's a pretty good question, but I will absolutely take the Padawan role right there. Jonas, you are my master, so I serve you.
Okay. We made it weird now, didn't we? All right, let's continue on here on That Park Place. We don't have an article for this one yet because it is that breaking of news, and we're recording this before the article on That Park Place drops. We have a big scoop, and it is sourced, of course, through WDW Pro, who we like to go for all of this information. I have additional details that are not going to be present in his video. I'm gonna do my best to tread the line here and not say anything that betrays our source. I know a little bit more. I don't know the source's identity. I've heard what their relation is to this project that's coming forward. As you all probably know, if you are on this channel, The Mandalorian Season 4 is probably not going to happen. And why is it probably not going to happen? Because Disney Plus is in the hole for billions of dollars, and they need to move costs off of the books. And so they said, how do we do this? How do we make Disney Plus look profitable? Let's remove some of the costs from Disney Plus and move it to an area where we don't actually report our losses. And that would be in the movie division. So they took Mandalorian Season 4, and they turned it into the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So they have essentially taken something that is a TV show, and they are now retrofitting it to make it into a Mandalorian movie that will be premiering in theaters sometime in what was originally thought to be 2025. Later on, we found out that it is being moved to 2026. This is also replacing the rumored, I say rumored, it's kind of announced, and no, they did talk about it at Star Wars Celebration. The Rey movie that went back and forth between David Lindelof, Stephen Knight, and then, of course, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy very publicly came out and talked about how in her movie making she likes to make men uncomfortable, and Daisy Ridley has been put on stage talking about this big movie that she's going to be in. She's kind of gone back and forth on whether or not she has seen the script or knows the story. She said that she doesn't know. She's also said that she's heard the story, and that's why she was so excited to star in this. That appears to be pushed to the back burner. There hasn't been much discussion on that from what I'm going to call official circles, that being Bob Iger, or any of the earnings call. They have talked about this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. On the earnings call, they pushed it back to 2026. And I think that we now know why they have decided to push the Mandalorian and Grogu back to 2026. Vash, I'm going to ask you before we get there, have you seen The Mandalorian Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3?
Absolutely. I believe I've seen every single one of these Mandoverse seasons, or the Filoni-verse series right there. Very much enjoyed them. Obviously, the quality has diminished somewhat, and not all shows are the same, but those first two seasons of Mando were very magical, and have created really a sensation. We describe the Mandoverse like we do the OT or the PT, and all those kind of subsects in a previous video that we were talking about the fandom. People have really resonated with the Mandalorian character. Right. Go ahead.
And then there was some speculation that maybe the Mandalorian was going to be used as kind of a way to rewrite those spin-off movies, the sequel trilogy, in order to erase it, or say because there was a for some fans, it spoke to them in a way that it seemed like Star Wars was going back to a more nostalgic direction, and it resonated with me, especially in the first and second season. First season, of course, introduces Grief Karga, played by Carl Weathers, and he gets cooler and cooler as seasons 1 and 2 go on. Of course, the introduction of Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, again, very cool by the end of it. And of course, what is her name? Bo-Katan Kryze, played by Katie Sackhoff. There's a whole bunch of characters in there. Taika Waititi plays IG-11. Great stuff. Obviously, Baby Yoda. The first season is great. Season 2 ends with a very specific moment that had some Star Wars fans in tears. Vash, what was your reaction here to the end of season 2 of Mandalorian?
I was absolutely ecstatic about the end of season 2 right there, to actually see a Luke Skywalker that we've all had in our minds following Return of the Jedi actually come to life right there. Quickly dispatch these, these dark troopers that have been so built up to that point right there. I think it really created this fan moment that was unbelievably successful. And that, I think, has been one of the highs of the Disney Star Wars saga or era, right? And then right after that, that's when the Gina Carano stuff hits, and now we're all fractured once again right there, which is really unfortunate.
Right,
but the
right.
Luke Skywalker portion of that was done very, very well, I thought.
It's also worth pointing out, by the way, that Luke Skywalker moment, I had no idea. If you've been following WDW Pro, you might have had some inclination of it before it hit screens. At that moment, I was very glad that I had no idea who this hooded figure that was coming through. The Dark Troopers are obviously great against normal people, but droids don't do well against Jedis, as we see from the prequel trilogy. And it's this great moment, obviously the pinnacle of the Mandalorian right here. Spoilers, obviously. I mean, we've already given the biggest spoiler for Mando that you could ever give, but the Mandalorian taking off his helmet, having this great moment with Grogu. Now, outside of all of that, obviously Gina Carano gets fired by the Walt Disney Company. I'm going to say, or terminated by the Walt Disney Company, and you can actually see a direct correlation. And correlation is not causation, but correlation between the stock price plummeting and the firing of Gina Carano. Maybe that is the moment where people became aware of some of the cultural issues at Disney. I say all that to say, here is the scoop, and you need to go check out the complete video by WDW Pro, but I want to get your reaction on this, Vash, because I don't think you are aware of what I'm about to tell you.
Brand new, first time I'm hearing about it, so you'll get my general reaction for the viewers at home here.
All right. So we have a source, and I'm not going to say where this source is located. He says that the delay of The Mandalorian from 2025 to 2026 is because the CGI was not going to be ready for the Mandalorian Grogu movie the way that Jon Favreau wants it, because Jon Favreau wanted more Luke Skywalker in the movie in a much more significant way.
Really?
Yes.
Well, isn't that fascinating?
Yes, and of course, Book of Boba Fett. If you want to get a better glimpse of the transition of Luke Skywalker done with deepfake technology, and of course the guy that's on set. Once you look at Book of Boba Fett, it's a little bit more pronounced. He's a little bit more monk-like, that Luke Skywalker, which maybe also plays to some of the limitations of the deepfake software. He's not really moving around a lot as he's slowly strolling through whatever planet that is that he's training Grogu in that season of Book of Boba Fett. So the issue that we see here at Lucasfilm is Luke Skywalker has not been a focus of Lucasfilm Productions for quite some time now. And they've actually said no, we know from sources like Deep Toy that they put the nix on Luke Skywalker and Grogu playsets and other Luke Skywalker merchandise, even though they know that would sell well, because maybe that might embarrass the current Walt Disney Company and the current Disney Star Wars situation, where they're having trouble moving merchandise related to Ahsoka, which actually used to be a more popular character, or Rey, or any of the other more recent Disney Star Wars productions, which get lower and lower in the ratings. Even Mandalorian Season 3 was not what Mandalorian Season 2 and Mandalorian Season 1 was in the past. So this puts Lucasfilm in a very bad place, because Star Wars seems to be acknowledging that they're stuck, and they don't seem to like Luke Skywalker. I can't speak for everyone at Lucasfilm. There are obviously people at Lucasfilm who like Luke Skywalker, but to have a very heroic Luke Skywalker, if these don't do well, it's bad for Lucasfilm. But if Luke Skywalker sells well for Lucasfilm, I think that reads as an indictment of the last 10 years of storytelling for this company. Now, there is one more scoop that we can share here from this. that somewhere in the course of this movie, which is essentially repurposed Mandalorian season 4, which there's some indications that Mandalorian season 3 was repurposed from some of the plots for Rangers of the New Republic or some other series that they announced on that Disney Plus Investors Day back in the day before Gina Carano was fired and all of that was scrapped. And so already season 3 was off on a strange footing. And now season 4, it's shaky to know exactly what's going on with Jon Favreau in this production. Somewhere in the course of the film, Luke Skywalker and Grogu's force powers will be combined in the movie in some way. I don't know if that means that they are a quote unquote force dyad. I don't think that's what it probably means, that thing that was brought up in The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know if that means that they're both going to be force pushing the same object, but in some way their force powers are going to be combined before the end of the movie, because it's not a TV show anymore. It's going to be a movie. Of course, a reminder that this is rumors and speculation. Vash, what's your reaction to all of this?
Ooh, that's quite a bit right there. Yeah, it sounds like a take on the dyad principle that we saw in Rise of Skywalker, interestingly enough. And it's so fascinating that we're bringing up Luke and deepfake technology or visual effects work, because didn't Lucasfilm hire Shamook?
Yes, they did.
Famous deepfake artist that went viral. Okay. I'm just clarifying right there.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't aware of this, unless you want to bring this up on screen, if you have it, Shamook took the original Luke Skywalker in the end of Mandalorian season 2 footage, and then he overlaid some of his own deepfake technology on top of it and made it look closer to the original Mark Hamill performances. He got a job at Lucasfilm and then came in, and by the time they put him in Book of Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker in Book of Boba Fett, it seemed like a more realistic match. And by the time they put him in Book of Boba Fett, it seemed like a more realistic match to the original Luke Skywalker. Of course, they could just solve this all by casting Sebastian Stan in the role and then doing some AI modification to his voice, but to each his own. What do we have here, Vash? Is this this is the picture of Shamook's video.
Yes, this is the picture of Shamook's video, which has gone viral. It's probably very easy to look it up online right here, so I won't play it. But I like your Sebastian Stan comment right there, because yes, I do believe he could definitely pull off the role right there. I would love to have seen that, but alas, it looks like they are going for some visual effects work, at least according to this rumor right here. And this is why I bring up Shamook, because this was a notable hire right here. Now, I think there was some speculation out there that he might have been let go, but I haven't seen any corroborating information on that specific portion of it. But it does look like he was maybe brought in, and maybe Jon Favreau wasn't necessarily impressed with what he saw, at least initially, which is why this is being pushed back.
Well, I think
tell
also
you, though,
there's an indication there that they were planning to get away from CGI Luke Skywalker for a while there, and I think that was what was reported as well by WDW Pro back in the day. Is that there were no plans at Disney to reincorporate Luke Skywalker, and they were going to be getting away from Luke Skywalker. So the idea that Favreau would push to add more of it in, I think, is it's an indication of a turn here at Lucasfilm, if you believe the rumor. Of course, take this all with a huge grain of salt, because this involves a production that has yet to see theaters. We're here in 2024. This movie is coming out in 2026. The original scripts for Force Awakens included a hand holding probably Luke Skywalker's hand holding Luke's lightsaber up in the atmosphere, and then those two things separating out, and that lightsaber ending up obviously elsewhere in the film. That was in the original treatments for the film and did not end up in the film. I'm not saying that was reported here. That was reported at other outlets, but at the time that it was reported, it was true. So again, huge grain of salt here, but we want to throw it to our commenters. What do you think about this rumor? Would you be excited to see Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian movie? Would that be enough to get you back into a theater to see this? Or is it going to be another situation where Disney spends $600 million, as they did with Rise of Skywalker, in order to only bring back $1 billion in receipts? That's before expenses. Let us know in the comment section down below if this changes your opinion of Disney Star Wars, or if you are a fan, if you are excited to see more Luke Skywalker, or if you'd rather see a little bit more Daisy Ridley as Rey, let us know in the comment section down below. Of course, like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.